Broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this episode of Gun Guy Radio is sponsored by Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co.
Welcome to episode 211 of Gun Guy Radio. This is a podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Jake Challand. This is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. And we have a great panel this week. We have John Patton of the Gun Collective. Hey, John.
Hi, Jake. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. And we have Nate Murr of the Kinetic Development Group. Hey, Nate.
Hey, Jake. Good to see you.
And so, how are you guys doing? A week in review. Did you guys do anything in guns this week, Nate?
Like I said, in like the last 2 days?
Well, last 7 days, 14 days.
Last week, I went out actually for 2 days. Over in York County, there was a police shoot that was put on by Lights, Sights, and Lasers, which is like a nationwide tour that Kyber Training Group puts on. They go from like city to city, and it's this free training that they offer if you sign up for it ahead of time for law enforcement and military to attend, where they kind of just go over some more advanced skills for police officers and, you know, patrol rifle stuff. And you know, I've been aware of the program. I think it's only like on its fourth year, but I wanted to go check it out and see about maybe potentially sponsoring it in the future, and, you know, just to check it out. And it was actually really, really good training. I thought it was really cool that if you're a cop or a Marine or a soldier or whoever, you can sign up for it and get a free day of training. All you got to do is show up with your guns and ammo and get some professional instruction, and it was pretty cool. It was really neat. There was a prize at the end, so there's about 30 some cops there. It was a pretty good turnout, and there was a shoot off at the very end, and the prize was like $1,500 worth of various parts and accessories and cool guy gear. And I choked on my reload and came in second. So I cheated myself out of $1,500 worth of prizes, which I was pretty upset about. But no, I had a great time on the range. I like to go shoot with different groups of people, like, you know, just to see what everybody, like, where everybody is and what everybody's doing, and if there's anything I can learn from other people. So it was definitely a good day on the range.
I've heard a lot about that. You know, I keep seeing, I guess the guy's name is Wes. I keep seeing him posting about that, and was always curious about how that works and, you know, what it really is. And I didn't know that it was a free day of training. That's pretty cool. That's way cooler than I thought it was.
Yeah, it was funny. I asked, you know, the majority of cops there, most of them hadn't shot their weapons since their last qualification. So, like, so people know, the majority of law enforcement in North America only shoot once a year, and that's only because they have to, right? There's a lot of guys that are cops and even military guys that just aren't gun people. So, you know, like, it's kind of surprising to see this gap in skill level from one cop to another. Like, me personally, I feel that everybody has that duty as a law officer to be as proficient as they possibly can be with the weapons that are at their disposal. But, you know, sometimes it's budget. Sometimes, like, there's cops there that their departments gave them ammo to shoot just for this training, and it gave them, like, you know, overtime to be there. And then there's other cops that were there that drove from out of state to be there, spent money out of their own wallet, you know, put themselves up in a hotel, were shooting their own ammo, and their level of dedication to receive that training, you know, was a little bit different. So it's pretty interesting to see that. But you know, it's one of those things where, unfortunately, a lot of cops out there, and even a lot of military units, they don't get to shoot as much as they need to, and as much as they definitely should. So it's cool to see guys take the initiative and sign themselves up.
Absolutely. Very cool. So, John, how about you?
I went to the range over the weekend. I had a guy in town. I was trying him out to be a cameraman. So we went out and filmed a whole bunch of stuff. Visited my FFL, the shop I use all the time in Reading, Pennsylvania, called Sensibly Armed. Did a little kind of tour of their facility, show it off. You know, because they've done very well for me and treated me very, very well. So the least I can do is show them off. And of course, I got out to the range, shot my agency long slide 10 millimeter. That thing is a freaking handful, shooting some Underwood 200 grain ammo. It's unbelievable how powerful and how awesome the 10 mil is. And then I was also shooting my single shot Thompson Center / House of Arms. I think they call it a hybrid custom rifle. It's 500 Magnum, 16-inch barrel, shooting it suppressed, because hashtag big bore, right?
Have you shot that 10mm suppressed yet?
Yeah, I have. It's awesome.
It looks pretty awesome. That's a cool looking gun.
It's just so much fun, man. That's really what it is, just fun.
Totally jealous here in Illinois.
Yeah, I was shooting everything suppressed, and with the 10mm, I gotta practice with that gun more because it's so. There's a couple things. I'm gonna modify it and put a heavier recoil spring in it, try to get the run a little cleaner. And I don't mean like dirt. I mean like cleaner operation, smoother. I think that gun is going to be something special for me to hunt with, where that's legal. So I'm going to try to do that with some. I love that Underwood ammo. They crank that stuff up to what 10mm is supposed to be.
So you're going to take it hunting in Baltimore?
Where's it legal to hunt hobos?
I didn't say that. I did not say that.
All right, so my weekend review for guns. I didn't get to the range. I've been looking into restoring, or not really restoring. We brought this up after the show this week on This Week in Guns. My grandfather's or great-grandfather's old side-by-side black powder shotgun.
That's cool.
It's just a rusty mess. It was growing up as a kid, it was in our basement, and then I think it was like my dad growing up, I think it was in their basement, so it's just been neglected, and like kids have played with it, and like one set of the hammers are missing. So I've been doing some research, though, and it turns out that it was a popular import around the turn of the century. It's referred to as like a Belgium Damascus 12 gauge, and so it was one of those guns that a bunch of different companies would import and brand it as their own. And it just so happens mine is branded by the Acme company. So
that's amazing.
I thought you were going to say that was some priceless like shotgun, like in lock, stock, two smoking barrels that like, you guys just kept in the basement, let it rust away, and if somebody would have kept it like good care of it, it'd be worth like $2 million or something. Well, I'm sorry, John, I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say that the old Damascus rifles, shotguns, whatever, they're so cool. It's so interesting to see, what the technology was back then, especially when you look at a black powder gun. That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, and I was actually pleasantly surprised that they were fairly common. So I jumped on Gunbroker, and it looks like I can buy some parts guns for like $150, $200. Was
this still a metallic cartridge gun or a muzzleloader?
It would have taken black powdered like high brass.
So like the solid the all brass shells.
The all brass,
yeah,
I believe.
It's funny because like my dad has a gun that's very similar to that it's probably about in the same condition. I mean, I think it's functional, but he had it hanging above the mantle as a kid. And I asked him about it one time when I was a teenager, and he said that was a black powder 12 gauge. And I'm like, oh, let's go shoot it. And he's like, you don't understand. Like, they don't make shells for it anymore. I would be scared to shoot it even if they did, for how old it was. But I actually have some of the high all brass shotgun shells from World War II. I have a box from World War II it's all fired brass, but like people don't seem to remember that 12 gauge predates smokeless powder, and then all brass shotgun shells were kind of the norm all the way up to like the 1950s and 60s even. Right.
Well, even then it was they transitioned to paper holes. And plastic holes are like that came about in like the 70s.
Yeah, it was late 60s, early 70s that the plastic holes. But the thing was, my dad had a bunch of those paper shelled shotgun shells from like the 50s, and he left them down in the basement, and it was it was steel shot or something like that. No, it was steel shot, but it was paper hull, and they got damp, and he shot a duck one time with these old shells because he just ran out of shells for the season, and it looked like a slug went through this duck. and the best we could figure out was that the steel had rusted together into a solid projectile. And I was impressed as all hell because it's like you just it's like shooting a moving duck with a slug. How hard is that, right?
Very cool.
That's a cool family heirloom you got there. That's neat.
Yeah, I can't wait to get some time to shine it up and at least get it good enough to hang on the wall. Because it's got a neat story to it too, which I actually told on the We Like Shooting podcast this week. So I'll skip that.
Wait, you went on We Like Shooting? That's amazing.
Yeah, it was horrifying. I woke up with a slight hangover and tons of regret. So. No, those guys are great. It was great being on the show. So you can actually shop Amazon and support the Firearms Radio Network while doing it. So just click our Amazon affiliate link before you need to buy something on Amazon. And a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like Gun Guy Radio. And then Patriot Patch Company also makes this episode possible. And we have some new kind of revolutionary themed patches. We have the it's referred to as Washington's Cruiser flag. It was flown on some of Washington's ships during the Revolution. It says an appeal to heaven. It has a pine tree on it. And then also the brand new We the People patch, which just dropped. And my camera's not really working, but it looks like crackled leather.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Pretty cool. So, and then we have, since 4th of July is, here, we have classic American flags, OD flag, thin blue line flag, all at patriotpatch.co. So check those out.
Do you shop on Amazon? How about your spouse? Does your mom? Does your company? Why not use the Firearms Radio Network's Amazon affiliate link next time you shop Amazon? Bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon or click through the Amazon link in the right-hand corner of firearmsradio.tv. Get it? Got it? Amazon it!
Main topic this week, Independence Day special. So have John and Nate here. We're going to just kind of kick back and talk about some of our favorite guns because, that's what we would do on the 4th of July if we got together in person. So let's, first, do you guys have any 4th of July traditions that you guys practice? John?
So I have a habit of trying to find good fireworks and setting them off, and in mass quantity. I don't know what the legality of certain fireworks are in certain areas, but I like stuff that goes boom, and it's really what it's all about. I'm not the kind of guy that'll go out and party hard and let's get drunk. I would rather spend time with people that actually matter to me, actually spend some time reflecting about what that day means. And I know that sounds kind of corny, but all holidays to me are time to spend with people I give a crap about. So I try to take every opportunity to do that, even though it's not always easy. But that and fireworks. I mean, literally every time I go to an area out of this state, out of Pennsylvania, I try to pick up some good fireworks.
And by good, you mean illegal fireworks.
I did not say that, Nate Murr. I just said good.
So I feel like we can connect on something here. In Illinois, I also have to smuggle fireworks across the border.
I don't understand. Like, they build these fireworks, like, franchises always on state lines, right? So, like, your core customer base are people going into the state where you can't buy them. But then if you go in that opposite state, there's another fireworks stand. It's like I can buy them in Maryland and bring them across state lines back into PA, and then somebody in Maryland can come into Pennsylvania and buy the fireworks and bring them back into Maryland, but you can't buy them in your own state. So how are they legal in the first place in each state? It's like,
what's really amazing to me is that Phantom Fireworks has they have a huge presence here in Pennsylvania, and they sell all kinds of cool stuff, but as a resident, you can't buy it.
That doesn't make any sense, though, right?
I agree.
Insane.
Bureaucratic crap.
Nate, any 4th of July traditions you have?
I mean, I think I do pretty much the same thing as everybody else. You know, like I usually either host or attend a barbecue somewhere. You know, Independence Day is a day of celebration. It's different than Memorial Day or Veterans Day, as in, like, truly, this is a day of celebration. Like, the 4th of July was a day that we said no to our masters. That we told the most powerful army and navy on the face of the earth that we weren't going to stand for their nonsense anymore. And what I really like is that, like, July 3rd was pretty much the last day we cared about what Europeans thought. You know, that we realized that it was nonsensical to be governed by a group of people a couple thousand miles away. And this was before telegraph lines and the internet and telephones and everything else. So it's like, how would you know what's best for these colonial people if you've never even been to where they live, you know? But you know, it's the Declaration of Independence, the whole concept of us fighting for our independence, the whole, you know, that's the foundation that America's built on, is independence and freedom and liberty. And, you know, post-American Revolution, our forefathers wanted to ensure that those principles would live on forever. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you look at it where we pay more in taxes today in 2016 than our forefathers went to war over, you know? And the British soldiers tried to seize powder and arms from those people, and that contributed to the war. And here we are today where our own government's trying to, you know, abolish certain types of firearms. And you look at it like where, you know, like there's a massacre. There was a mass shooting in American history, but it was perpetuated by British soldiers in Boston, the Boston Massacre. You know, it was Federalist troops. It'd be like the FBI gunning down a bunch of people at a rally. So, like, all those things, they grew to the point where we said, where's the line? You know, enough is enough. We need to, against all odds, give it our best try and try to win our independence, and we did. So that's like no small feat. Like, when I say that we fought the most powerful army on the face of the earth, it's the truth, and we won because we wanted freedom more than they wanted to impose their tyrannical rule on us, you know? So I don't know. It's like one of those things where it's a very important holiday. It's maybe one of the most important holidays to most people out there. That's, you know, it's not a religious holiday. It's the story of our nation. And without that day, without that Declaration of Independence, we wouldn't be here today enjoying the freedoms that we have, and that's no small thing. So many people have suffered and worked hard and have paid the ultimate price so that we can enjoy that. So,
well, I feel like I should have had "God Bless America" queued up here. I mean, that was great. So, for me, you know, it's always a family barbecue. Has been, you know, ever since I can remember. Get together, you know, and just hang out with the family. Sometimes we, you know, go see fireworks and stuff like that. I remember one year I paid to furnish, I think 8 of us, so it was a team 4 versus 4 for paintball in the pasture at my grandpa's, and we set all these hay bales up and stuff. Had this course for this giant paintball thing, and ended up still hitting the house a few times, which, yeah. Grandpa was not happy about that, but it was a blast.
It's like this coming Sunday, I'm having a party. I'm having a 4th of July party. And, you know, at first I thought, like, well, maybe I'll do that and I'll invite my family, but I really don't have that much family, like, left. So I figured, you know, my family, like, I always looked at, like, you know, when I was in the Marines, like, my platoon was my tribe. It was my family. And I look at all of my friends throughout the gun industry. You know, my close friends, like, I look at them as my family and my tribe and my fellow Americans. So, you know, I figured this year, you know, I was going to have this barbecue, and I think John Patton's coming if he doesn't flake out on me. Allegedly, he's coming.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Well, I'm not coming now. But, no, like, I invited a bunch of different.
I was going to bring fireworks.
The good kind of fireworks?
Yeah, the ones that you said I was breaking laws, and I don't understand. You're criminalizing me now?
So basically, I'm just having a bunch of people over so I can belittle them and make fun of them and hurt their feelings. We can shoot guns and set off good fireworks, and then once it gets dark, you know, we're going to put away the guns and bust out the good fireworks and the good barbecue. So,
barbecue.
I'm trying to have the most ultimate Independence Day party possible, so we'll see. This is the first year I've had it. So
sounds amazing. Okay, let's get into some of the topic outline here. Barbecue guns. John, what does that statement mean to you, barbecue gun?
You know, I actually did a video on that years back in my old channel, and I don't know, to me, it's something you would wear to a barbecue, carry to a barbecue that might not be something you would carry all the time. You know, maybe a little fancier, a little more.
Isn't it like a Southern thing, John?
I honestly, I don't know. To be quite honest, I don't know that answer.
That was always my understanding. Like down south, like, you know, Southern people really, they take their barbecues seriously, more so than us Yankees. But from my understanding, like down in Texas and stuff, a barbecue gun is usually like your most expensive, like, you know, like conversation starter gun.
That sounds reasonable to me. I mean, that's a good way to look at it.
It's like I would say if we, like, your 10mm Glock would be your barbecue gun. It'd be like, what is that? What is that on your hip? I want to see that. And,
right.
Like,
right.
people just stand around and like look at each other's pistols and drink beer and maybe challenge each other to a duel over someone's honor. I don't know. Like that's my understanding of what a barbecue gun is. That it's something that like Southern people really, you know, are all about.
All right. Well, since we stereotyped half the country, so John, what came to mind when I said pick a barbecue gun?
For me, it's all about silver metal, chrome, shiny, high class. You know, that's when I think of a barbecue gun. I think of something kind of fancy. I don't know.
So
the
what's
guns
your pick?
I picked a Desert Eagle or a Smith & Wesson stainless revolver. Now, I understand the blued guns are very nice, but I have a preference towards stainless, and my Desert Eagle happens to be chrome, so that's my other choice. Something big, and, you know, I would also like to preface that I am of the belief that if you're going to carry a gun that's something you don't always carry, you should carry your normal gun too. You know, I would carry, like, for example, I would use like a shoulder holster or something, carry the Deagle around, you know, but I'd also have my normal carry gun on my hip.
See, now you got to have a holster maker do you up a shoulder rig that you carry the Desert Eagle on one side and the Smith & Wesson on the other side.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Anybody out there listening?
Nate, what do you got?
Well, like I agree with John's interpretation of a barbecue gun. It should be something, you know, more than a box stock Glock 19 or something like that. It's like a flashy gun, maybe a little bit over the top. Like some guys have these beautiful works of art, like a Gen 1 Colt Peacemaker with like silver inlay and like grips made out of some sort of extinct animal. You know,
it's made out of dodo meat.
Like, you know, like some ivory, like woolly mammoth grips or something. But I think along that theme, like, you know, like I'm not a big revolver guy. I appreciate the art and beauty and the function of them, and you know, I'm still an automatic guy at heart. So like, I think barbecue gun, I think of like a custom 1911, right? So if I was to go to a barbecue and I was instructed to wear my barbecue gun, like the closest gun I would have would be my custom 1911 that, you know, that I built with the assistance of some precision weapon armor guys like 10 years ago. You know, it's my favorite pistol. It's the gun I shoot the best with. And back in the day, it used to be a looker. You know, 10 years ago, she was a good-looking gun, but, you know, she's got
let herself go.
She let herself go. There's a lot of miles on old Betsy over here. So, but you know, like I just saw this thing the other day on Facebook where it was, what's that coming out in Western Pennsylvania? Cabot guns.
Yeah, Cabot.
Cabot guns, right? So these guys make the most expensive, crazy 1911s, and they made these matched 1911s out of like meteorite metal. Like they got a block of like metal that fell from outer space and like precision cut it into frames and slides, and then like made a functional firearm out of material that you can't find here on Earth. So like these guns sold for like a couple $1 million. They just like, if you want to one up somebody at a bar, like if Bill Gates went to a barbecue and had a barbecue gun, it would be this pistol. It would be these matched meteorite pistols. That's
like,
what I think.
Oh, your gun's stainless? Mine came from outer effing space.
That's awesome.
Like, cool story, bro.
Titanium? Yeah, whatever.
So yeah, I mean that's what I think. Like, it's just something over the top and something that's like, wow, that is super cool.
That is the ultimate one-up.
Like, but unfortunately, I don't have any friends that are like multi-billionaires that would have the disposable income for a gun like that. So for me, like, I think of like us peasants when we go to a barbecue, what kind of guns I would expect to see, and like custom 1911s, and some Nighthawk customs, and some custom Glocks like John's 10mm, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Some blinged out, chromed out, engraved, cool guy guns.
Jake, what about you, man?
Well, I like that you brought up Cabot guns, because really any of Cabot's 1911s would be, a barbecue gun. I mean, they have so many awesome looking. Some of their guns, even their blued guns, are so shiny they look like they're chrome, but they're really blue.
I love that. I love that high polish blue. Oh,
yeah,
so nice.
And they really do have woolly mammoth grips on some of them. So,
do they? Wait, really? That's a thing?
That's a thing.
Like, because woolly mammoths went extinct like 13,000 years ago, so their ivory, it's not on any kind of embargo or ban list because the animal's extinct, right? Which we had nothing to do with. Okay, they went extinct on their own. I would like to point out.
All Greenpeace.
But anyway, yeah, like, so woolly mammoth material, like, their tusk is like crazy expensive. It's kind of like. Like, there's still ivory. Unfortunately, the ivory trade is still a thing, and like modern ivory is still harvested. But you're never gonna, unless they genetically re-engineer like woolly mammoth. Once that tusk material is gone, it's gone forever. So that makes it super rare and expensive.
Well, I was talking to the CEO of Cabot, and I guess there's a guy that he walks around, and I don't know if it's Canada or Iceland or somewhere up around the Arctic Circle, where I think it's in the spring that some of this mammoth works its way up to the surface, and you can just pick it up.
Well, they found this woolly mammoth like in Siberia that was like almost completely intact, right? And the scientists are like, well, like now the snow or the ice has melted enough, it's just going to start to decompose. But it was almost like flash. Like, it got caught in a flood, and then that flood water like instantly froze like that day or whatever. But they tested it for bacteria, and they're like, we can actually eat some of this. We can be the first humans to eat woolly mammoth in like 13,000 years. So they tried it, and they said it wasn't that bad. They're like the first people to eat it. They're like, that was a substantial staple of food for like men, early man. I would try it. Hell yeah, put some hot sauce on
For real? I mean, are you trolling me and John? I can never tell when you're serious.
It's like they found honey in the pyramids that was like 4,000 years old, and people tried it, and it was still good.
So I pulled up the woolly mammoth grip, and it's actually made from they call it teeth, mammoth teeth, and that gun goes for just under $12,000, and they only made 10 of them. They're all sold out, and you can get on the wait list for 2018 as a secondary run. Wow. Not even like the primary.
Wow.
For $12,000 a piece.
So my pick for a barbecue gun. Well, I put one in here that I used to own. One of the guns I sold that I kick myself about now, but it was one of the first Glocks I modified, and what I did basically was bought I think it was a police trade-in Glock 22, and I got a long slide conversion for it from Lone Wolf, and had the port on the top, and it had a flame, laser flame job on it, and then I had I had all three barrels for it. I had the 9 conversion, the 357 conversion, and then, of course, the 40. And the 357 was a longer barrel, so it had ports. I think it had ports on the inside and outside on the top of it, if I remember right. It was like 4 or 6 ports in it, something stupid. But I think because of that, and because of the long slide, I could run that without any modification to the spring. So I could have the 40 barrel in there, run 40 just fine, and then all I'd have to do is switch out and put the SIG barrel in, same spring, and it would run just fine. So it was a pretty cool setup that, was custom but not too custom. But
I have a sidebar question real quick.
Sure.
Is there any difference between a Glock 17 frame and a Glock 34 frame?
I don't know that answer.
I don't know that answer either.
But yours was a 34 that you put an aftermarket slide on?
That was a 22.
It was a 22, but you put a long slide.
I put a long slide on it, yeah.
So what's the difference between a 17L and a 34?
The 17L is actually longer than a 34.
It is?
Yeah, it's a 6-inch, I think, versus like a 5.5 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But your gun was comped, Jake, or no? It was ported?
It was ported, yep.
Do you notice, like, did that make a big difference, like shooting, especially like 357 SIG? Because that's a pretty snappy round. Yeah,
it wasn't bad at all. I mean, it was comparable to 40. I mean, it was fun to shoot. I mean, I really like long slide guns. So
same. I love them.
See, I don't know much about long slide guns, but it's funny that you guys bring this up because just a couple days ago I started researching whether or not I want to buy a 34 or a 17L. And see, this is the whole point behind the barbecue gun. It gets you talking about your guns, and it's show and tell, and you learn new things. So,
if I were you, I would try and find an old 17L because they did them before. I think it was Gen 2. I don't know, but I think they're cooler.
Why is that?
It's just a preference thing.
Like, what makes them cooler, though?
It's just old school. I would prefer the original 17L over a new 17L.
Okay.
All right, so next question I have for you. What gun says America more than any other?
Oh, what a hard question that is.
John, you first.
Well, see, I saw Nate's answer, so I couldn't say the same thing. But he kind of wins this one. I responded with the Barrett M82A1, one of the firearms that changed the face of modern warfare, or the 500 Magnum Smith & Wesson revolver, both of which are significant handguns in American history, let alone world history. I think the M82A1 is just a complete visceral experience to shoot. I mean, the whole thing just moves. It's heavy. It's shooting a huge cartridge. And, the first time I ever shot it, I shot it out. We're shooting on top of an abandoned strip coal mine in West Virginia. First time I'd ever fired an 82A1. And it's just incredible. It's just an experience to shoot. And then the 500, being one of the biggest pistol cartridges, arguably the biggest. Some people will pull out something like a 510 or some Wildcat cartridge. But as far as production goes, the 500 Magnum is the bad boy, and I absolutely love big bore. Clearly, there's nothing. I mean, yes, there are like the 460 Magnum is technically a more quote unquote powerful cartridge, but I would rather have a half-inch than not.
Very cool. Nate, what do you got?
Well, I think my answer is going to be pretty obvious. The brainchild of Eugene Stoner in the 1950s is a gas-operated, air-cooled, magazine-fed, shoulder-fired weapon we like to call the AR-15. So, it's one of the most prolific guns on the face of the earth. It's definitely the most popular semi-automatic rifle in America. A lot of people jokingly say that AR stands for America's rifle, but I mean, it's not a joke. It's the truth. It is America's rifle. It's a firearm that once you buy your first one, you catch the bug, and odds are you're going to end up owning more than one. I mean, I know I own more than just a couple. So, it's user-friendly. It's easy to build your own gun once you figure out how the weapon works. You can build it in so many different, calibers and so many different configurations. Even people that own a dozen AR-15s, and I know people that own well over a dozen AR-15s, they don't have two rifles that are mirror image. They don't have two rifles that are exactly the same because there's just so much you can do with the rifle. It's funny because it's like, the gun that everybody's complaining about right now, all the anti-gunners are on the warpath about, but it's the gun that in the military version, the fully automatic machine gun version, it's the gun that defends America, the M4 carbine and the M16. And in its neutered civilian version, the classic original AR-15 that was designed for sporting purposes before it got militarized, it's used by countless law enforcement and private citizens every day to defend themselves and their family and their loved ones. It's used to win competitions. It's used to harvest game and for recreation. I mean, it's one of the best rifles ever made, period. And that's why they've made over 20 million of them in the last 50 years. So, hands down, if there's a gun that represents America, it's an AR-15 with a 1911 duct tape to it.
Hey, you can't steal mine. Hang on. No, great choice. And yes, my choice is the 1911. I went the 1911 GI because that's the handgun of choice from 2 world wars, and just so much history in that. Not just in the use in the military, but the manufacturing history of it, like the Singer 1911s. I mean, this company that had nothing to do with firearms, like many companies of the time during World War II, started producing 1911s.
Well, it's been in virtually every American conflict from World War I, from 1917 all the way up to today. Because don't forget that MARSOC still has the 1911 in their inventory.
Yeah.
So that means World War I, all the intermittent conflicts down in South America and stuff in the 20s and 30s, aka the Banana Wars, if we're allowed to say that still. World War II, Korea, Vietnam, all the conflicts that we had in the 70s and 80s, conflicts other than war, I guess you could call it, and then even Iraq and Afghanistan. That gun has killed so many bad guys, so many of America's enemies.
And
it's awesome.
And Captain America uses it.
And Captain America carries one.
You know what's really interesting to me? It's the totality of what we picked. I mean, the Barrett. There's a kind of a Cinderella story of how that came to be. The AR-15 is an incredible. The history of the AR-15 is unrivaled. And then you talk about the 1911. Those 3 firearms are so significant, and they're American made.
But the funny thing is, all 3 firearms have been used in different configurations by both the American people as well as American military. It's
wait, you mean weapons of war? Question mark? Ha ha ha.
Yeah, right. But the thing is, I've shot Barretts as a Marine, I've shot Barretts as a civilian, and I've shot 1911s as a Marine, and I've shot 1911s as a civilian. I've shot full auto M4A1s, and I've shot plenty of AR-15s as a civilian. You know what I mean? So it's I don't know. I think there's a connection there where we love these guns not because they're accurate and reliable, but also partially because the tradition and the story behind each of those guns. They almost personify the American spirit. Americans tend to be, patriotic, traditional type people that have strong values to the past. And those guns all represent, with the exception of the Barrett, because that's only been around since 1982. And if I could figure out how to weld sheet steel in my garage, I would have a rifle company. But anyway, it represents something bigger than metal and plastic.
Absolutely. Very cool. So let's talk movies, TV. If you're hanging out this holiday weekend or any time you're feeling patriotic, what's your pick for movies or TV? Nate?
I chose a movie. It's it's a pretty heartwarming story about a young Austrian man who immigrates to America and then gets his citizenship and decides to join the military and become a commando. And one day, in defense of his nation, he is sent with his team down to South America to recover an asset the CIA lost. And that's a movie we like to call Predator. So not only is it a movie, technically it could be considered a war movie, okay? Because it is a military operation that goes down, and you got elements of these commandos and the CIA, and there's some sort of in this interstellar hunter from outer space there killing people, and there's a bunch of super awesome guns in there, all the best guns, like the MP5. That's where Jesse Ventura, now that he's a dirtbag, but back in the day, he was the dude with a General Electric minigun, a GAL 134, hooked up to a motorcycle battery, just cutting down all the trees in the jungle to kill the predator. But as gory and violent and as much gunplay as there in this movie, I think that the movie captures the spirit of America. Is that even against all these crazy odds, Arnold's not going to win, right? He's going to die. The Predator's going to get him. And even though he's down basically back to being a Stone Age warrior with a spear, he doesn't give up. and he uses, his intelligence and his tactics to foil this superior being from outer space so that he can prevail and get out of Dodge and go back to America.
Wow.
I said that as straight face as I possibly could, okay?
Yeah, I got nothing compared to that, man.
But I'm just saying, you can interpret Predator as one of the most patriotic movies ever made.
I believe you.
You're a wordsmith.
That is fantastic. Okay, John?
I got nothing. I mean, how do you follow that act? How do you follow that? I chose Independence Day just because of the Bill Pullman speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really simple. Will Smith is a great American actor, and the entirety of that movie is just like rah rah. I love it. But there's also
You know what the most believable part of that movie is? It's when Will Smith, the Marine, marries a stripper. I'm like, is this a movie or a documentary? I can't tell right now.
And what's Jeff Goldblum?
Yeah.
That's just an amazing role.
Absolutely.
You think the sequel is going to do it justice, or
No, not at all. But I'm going to watch it anyway.
That movie is like actually as hokey as it is, just like Predator's hokey. That movie, like the Bill Pullman speech, is actually like, I wish he was the president.
Right, right. Like, think about how it made you feel the first time you watched it.
Like, you felt it in your heart. Like, you almost believe like this was a real thing. Like, this is going to happen, and if we don't all pull together and band together to fight this massive evil that just came, to crush us, then that's what's going to happen. We're going to perish from the earth.
Was it Vivica Fox was his wife in that movie?
Yeah, she was hot in that too.
Yeah. That's all. That's all I was going with that. Just all right.
All right. So I'm going with a current TV series called. It's on AMC. It's called Turn: Washington Spies, and it's in season 3 right now. It's just wrapping up season 3. You can stream it on Amazon if you like pre-purchase the seasons. That's how I'm watching season 3. But I think the first 2 seasons are free on Amazon Prime right now. But it's the best revolutionary era TV show I've ever seen. It's a cable TV show, so it's kind of it's rated R sometimes, so not necessarily something you can watch with the kids. But my wife and I both love it. She's a big fan of historical fiction, and so with this is about real people and real events, but yet they obviously for TV fictionalize portions of it. But it's really entertaining, and it's something to check out if you like that, like the history of the time period.
Yeah, I think stuff like that's really cool. I can't nothing's hitting my memory about kind of old school independence, like when we actually the beginnings of America. I can't think of a really, really strong movie that stands out to me. I know they're out there. They just don't stand out to me. But you could also get out there and watch. I mean, the gobs and gobs of kind of military movies.
Oh, yeah.
In recent years, we've seen a huge amount of them. Act of Valor, American Sniper, Lone Survivor, and even before that, I mean, there's just tons of good movies. Black Hawk Down. I mean, just stuff like that. That you try to really, really understand what's going on out there.
John, I want to kind of this kind of dovetails on what you just said. The first thing I thought of, when I read that question, is what movie would you say is a good movie for this? My mind is obviously a war movie, right? There's so many war movies, and some war movies out there aren't even they're not in promotion of war. Some of them are actually anti-war movies, right?
Right.
But I was thinking about, as a veteran, there's less than 1% of all the American population that is a veteran right now, right? And I read this study that said that less than 15% of all Americans have any connection whatsoever to the military. That means a brother in the military, a dad who fought in Vietnam, a grandpa that was on a ship in World War II, right? And I think about it, I'm as much as, I love our military and I support our guys, and I serve my time and serve my country and all that other stuff. I realized that like that's not the bulk of Americans, right? So I was thinking like, what's a movie that captures the American spirit, right? Because the American spirit, that's the most important part. I don't look at like the 4th of July as like a war thing as much as a freedom and independence thing for all of us, right? So I'm like, well, the only movie I could think of was kind of a war movie, which is Patriot with Mel Gibson, right? Where these common citizens fought back against the tyrannical British Empire, right? And it was kind of a hard question for me to answer, which is probably why I started thinking in a different direction and went with Predator. But I'm like, there really isn't that many films that jump out that you think as a patriotic film that doesn't involve war, But I guess like my kind of like final point on this, like I just finished reading this book called Tribe by Sebastian Junger, right? And the whole premise of this book was talking about what it means to be part of a community and what it means to be part of a tribe, because that's the way human beings lived for thousands and thousands of years. And like 100 years ago was like really when it started. It was like the first time in human history that children slept in a different room. Like you think about the Native Americans all sleeping as a family in one room of a teepee, or people building cabins or log shelters, whatever. How close-knit of a community we were with our immediate family, then also how close-knit we were with the other families in our village or a tribe, right? But this guy made this really good point, and like I said, I just finished the book yesterday, and I really recommend it. It was a great book. But he said about, the politicians of the world today do more to alienate us and dissolve our tribe, our community as Americans than they do to unify us, right? And that you see this every day where like politicians accuse other politicians of purposely trying to harm their own country, which if that accusation was true 100 years ago, that person would probably be hung for treason, right? But now it's like no big deal. So I'm saying this for this reason, and that's why, as much as the political debate, this being an election year, everybody's kind of keyed up about, the Trump versus Hillary and all this other nonsense. Everybody needs to take this day, to take Monday, the 4th of July, 2016, and think about what it means to be an American and appreciate those liberties and those things that our forefathers fought so hard and worked so hard for, and kind of put your differences aside for just this one day and just think about how great we have it here, how wonderful of a country this is, because there's nothing like it on the face of the earth. And that's why we're all upset right now, because nobody wants it to go away or be diminished.
Wow, that's a perfect conclusion to this week's episode.
Well, that's why you have me on. What can I say?
Exactly. So next week, we're talking about 22 Plinkin. So,
are you going to have 22 Plinkster on, or are you just like messing with my head?
I'm just messing with your head. I could reach out to him, but it's pretty short notice.
Gun Guy Radio says thank you and proudly displays artwork and graphics designed by Ryan Cross of Hunter of Design. HunterofDesign.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7-inning stretch time. We invite you to join in singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Patches, get your patches here. Patriot Patch Company has all your favorite flavors. Tactical, Western, sci-fi, pop culture, hot and ready. Don't forget to wash it down with a Pro Gun custom screen-printed t-shirt. Available in sizes medium to 5XL. They're great for any occasion. Patches, get your patches at patriotpatch.co.
We have revamped Patreon perks. If you'd like to support this episode at Gun Guy Radio, you can pledge as little as $1 per episode. And we have other rewards. Pledge $5, you can get a T-shirt or patch. $8 a supply drop box. $10 or $12 is a patch of the month or T-shirt of the month club, respectively. And then we have a larger supply drop box if you pledge $15. at the $15 level. So check it out, patreon.com/gun. And Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. Check out the patriotic 4-pack of patches. I'm wearing the Bennington flag on my hat right now, and there's 3 other flags in that pack. Check it out, patriotpatch.co. And if you need any kind of graphics design, website design, check out Ryan Cross at hunterofdesign.com. So, John, where can people connect with you online, and is there anything new you want to share?
No, there's nothing super new that I'm ready to share just yet. There is new stuff coming, but still working on it. You can find me by going onto your phone and typing in The Gun Collective on Google or Instagram or YouTube or Facebook or any place like that. Just type in The Gun Collective, and there you'll see me.
Very cool. Nate, where can people connect, and anything new you got going on? It's same old as far as my schedule goes. I've been traveling a lot of day trips, staying busy on the phone a lot. But, things are going good. If you want to see what I'm all about, you can check out Connect Development Group online. You can Google it, and it'll take you to the webpage, or you can find us on Instagram or Facebook. Highly recommend that. If you want to harass me directly, you can always follow me on Instagram under the name Gripstop. And, that's pretty much where you can get a hold of me. So very cool. Remember to subscribe on iTunes or any podcatcher app. Actually, I probably should check out some other podcatcher apps if you're having trouble downloading with iTunes or any of the Apple apps. There seems to be a glitch. So check out Pocket Cast or Downcast. Please also consider joining the NRA or the Second Amendment Foundation. And don't forget to check out all the other awesome shows here on the Firearms Radio Network. And also remember to bookmark that Amazon affiliate link, firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. Well, thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, brother. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Nate.
Thanks for having me on. Happy Independence Day.
Happy 4th of July. And that's a wrap. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Now, to tell you the truth, I kind of forgot in all this excitement. But being this is the Guns of Hollywood podcast on the most popular pro-gun podcast network in the world and will blow your eardrums clean out, you've got to ask yourself a question. Have you subscribed yet? Well, have you, punk? gunsofhollywood.com or search Guns of Hollywood on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher app. Punk.